It's so good to see you. And I'm so excited that we finally get to do this.
Hey, me too. It's
Yeah,
gonna be a good day.
indeed. So it looks like there are a bunch of folks joining right on time.
All
Um, Maybe we give them another minute as I comment on your awesome barn door.
right. You
The,
like that?
I
Yeah.
do. I think it looks
It
really good.
it's custom. All right. So you could go to Lowe's or Home Depot and pick one out, but I wanted it to be uniquely ours. And so Facebook Marketplace is amazing now. You just go on there and search barn doors. And I found like a retired carpenter, and he did it for an awesome price, and he wrapped the entire doorway for me as well and made it all match in 2 weeks, and he killed it. Did an awesome job.
What a world we live in today.
Oh, it's
Nothing,
fantastic.
nothing but opportunities for
Yeah,
everyone. You know.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah. Um, Cool. Okay. I've got a lot to talk to you about. So let's get started. I'm sure some people are going to come back by a bit later. This is going to be recorded. So if any of you end up leaving in the middle of this for some reason, come back and watch the rest of it. I've set it up so the best parts are at the beginning and the end. And
Okay.
uh, actually, it's going to be great throughout. So give you kind of a quick agenda of what I want to talk to you about here. Um, let's spend a little time early talking sort of a little bit about you, like how you grew up, kind of how you got here, maybe jobs you did. You don't have to remember all of this. I'm just saying for the
Okay.
people that are watching,
Yeah.
so they know how we're going to sort of the path we're going to take. Then I want to talk a little bit about your creator journey, like how did you decide to become a creator and sort of how all of this sort of happened. Talk about this crazy year you've had this last year, where I was just looking at your charts and your revenue grew by 118,000%,
Oh
is what it says.
wow.
I mean, you started early this year, and here you got a year uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
of success. And then, sort of finally, I want to talk about best practices and the things that you're doing and we see you doing that
Yeah.
are really making you stand out and be more successful than some other creators who should adopt these things that you're doing, basically the secrets exposed.
For sure. For
That makes
sure.
sense.
Yeah. Makes total sense.
Awesome. So again, thanks so much. You and I met almost a year ago, I think, like 10 months ago.
Yeah.
Uh, and kind of the first time we met, I just thought that you were a super interesting guy with a super interesting story. Watching you rise this year has just been amazing to watch. And so I've like had all these questions that I've been wanting to ask you, but I didn't want to bug you. And so my this is my opportunity to ask. You don't have to answer anything you don't want. If I get too
Okay.
personal, you can just say, "Hey, back off, man."
All right.
Okay. So yeah, I'm just like curious, like how did you sort of where did you grow up? Like what were you like in high school? I was a total outcast in high school. There's really nothing interesting about me, but I'm super curious about you.
Gotcha. Well, hey, well, outcasts are now in. So if you were an outcast in high school now, buddy, like you're the top of the chart. So you're all good there. And the outcast, if you're an outcast 20 years ago, you're probably very successful now. So everybody that was cool 20 years ago in school, hey, they peaked. They peaked at 17, and you're still peaking.
I was an
So
outcast 40 years ago, though.
40 years ago, what?
I'm
You look.
53.
You're
Yeah,
53. You look so young, man.
thank you, sir. I
What are you doing? What do you
I,
you,
I
you got a
clean life.
skincare routine?
Well, we were talking about you. We'll come back to that.
Okay, okay, okay.
At the end, I'll share my secrets.
Okay,
Right now, I want yours. Uh,
deal.
so high
So
school.
grow
What'd you
high
do in
school.
high school?
Okay, so we can start in high school. So I grew up for the most of my life, in a little town called Paradise, California. So it's a town of about 25,000 people on the top of a ridge. There's basically only two ways in and two ways out of this town. Really big on football. Bobcats were the mascot, and that's where elementary school started for me, and then all the way up through junior high and high school. And I was just a big sports guy. I grew up being like a huge, being from California, a big San Francisco 49ers fan. and I started playing like Pop Warner football even at like 7, 8 years old. And so I had these dreams as a kid of what most kids would want to do, growing up in a football town, is to like and play pro sports, and maybe those dreams were lofty. And I played wide receiver. My favorite player was Jerry Rice, number 80 for the Niners, and he's obviously a Hall of Famer. So that was my whole kind of trajectory, was just to play sports and go as far as I could, go to college and play even, if at all possible. I didn't play freshman year in high school. My JV year we played. We had an undefeated season, but I would say, I was really like a creative kid growing up. I was really into, even though I played sports, I loved drawing. I kind of loved doing like just random skits with my brother. And my brother, just a side note, is a country musician, and he's getting pretty famous, and he's making the charts. His name's Nate Smith. But we just always seemed to be doing kind of artsy stuff together. But we had a father who was in law enforcement, and he was a sheriff deputy for 25, almost 30 years by the time he retired. So he had two kids that were like just kind of almost opposite in nature to him. He was very practical and very, stay in school and graduate college and kind of toe the line, save your money, get that pension. And that was kind of his way. And it's not saying it's a bad way, but my brother and I were just like, for some reason, cut from a different cloth. Neither side of the family is very artistic or creative, but both of us kind of seemed like we had that knack or that excitement. So graduated high school in 2005. I really honestly wasn't quite sure what I want to do with the rest of my life. I had no idea. Like, I took one of those tests you take in high school that I forget what the term would be, but it tests. It's more like a survey to see what you would be good at. And most people, when you answer the 115 questions, they get like 87 different jobs that you'd be good at. I took the test and I got one. It came down to, they gave me one option for my whole life, and it was to be a screenwriter. I showed the teacher, and they said, "We've never seen this before. You should take it again." I took it a second time, and I got screenwriter a second time. So I didn't even really know what to do with that. So I did what a lot of kids did, and just went into junior college. Studied business management and kind of bounced around the junior college scene. Honestly, just got kind of taken by the college experience, partying, drinking, going out, doing all the wild stuff that young people do. Worked at a clothing store called Buckle. I don't know if you've heard of Buckle Clothing, but it's they're better now, but back then they were on that tacky clothing look with the. Have you heard of like Affliction and like those kind of clothing brands that are just ridiculous? Anyways, I sold like these really
It's so
expensive.
embarrassing. I'm like so bad at pop culture these days.
It's okay. This was a while ago, so
I'm
anyone
sure,
listening to this,
I'm sure most people listening to us probably know exactly what you're talking about.
okay,
And
yeah, it
so
was like, yeah,
how did
go ahead.
you become a sheriff's deputy? Like that seems like an odd path.
Yeah,
What,
it,
what
it, it is a strange path. So the town that I lived in Paradise, it burned down in a wildfire. So it was called the campfire in 2018. House burned down, and a church we went to burned down. Just the whole town just bang, gone overnight. I think it's 20,000 structures or so. A part of me growing up, because my dad was in law enforcement, I did look up to him and what he did, and he did a lot of brave things. A lot of crazy stuff happened in his life, and so I kind of looked up to that and thought, even though I was this creative guy, part of me still wanted to try this, just because I looked up to him. So when the town burned down, we had to decide, man, where are we going to move? Where are we going to go next? And my wife's side of the family, so my in-laws, they all decided to get houses built out in Idaho. I've heard of Idaho. I've never been to Idaho. I knew it was just like a boring potato state or whatever, but I decided, let's just fly out and take a look. And this is in 2018, right after the fires, and so the housing prices were amazing. And so we came out, took our insurance money, just and bought a really nice brand new house, really inexpensive out here in Idaho. And that was pretty much the game. And coming to a new city, I thought, well, I should just get like a practical job, just get something that's practical that pays, I guess, decent. And I tried out for it was the Canyon County Sheriff Department out here in, now it's Caldwell, Idaho. And about 6 months later, got a call and I got the position. So yeah.
And so you're working this job, and
Yeah.
then how does the switch to being a TikTok chef happen? Like,
Yeah,
how long were you a sheriff's deputy, and like how did that happen?
for sure. I was only a sheriff's deputy for 2 years. And I think it was pretty early on, I just wasn't sure, if it was for me. It takes a certain kind of person, a certain kind of mentality. You can't let things affect you, emotionally. You got to just kind of stay focused on the task at hand. But I think just, when I'd come home from work and stuff, I would think about it. Like certain things would just bother me. Um, and loved everybody that I worked with. But I just started. I've always been into social media, but I started making honestly just kind of like funny posts on TikTok, just whatever I thought my friends would laugh at, whatever. I started posting stuff, and a few of those videos went viral. I thought that's crazy that I'm making these viral videos. I didn't have any niche or direction, but in that time, I'd put on a bunch of weight. So I'd gotten to 278 pounds, and I graduated high school about 185, and I was just, kind of just the married life, the kids' life, eating a ton of food, enjoying myself, and just not exercising, not having that healthy kind of, balanced lifestyle. And for me, I wanted to make a change, and I tried a lot of other things. So honestly, I just Googled one day how to lose weight in 2021, or it was late 2020, I believe. I just started seeing all these bodybuilders doing calorie deficit meal plans where if you eat, 3,500 calories less than you did, the week before for the whole week, that's 1, pound of weight lost. And so I just started doing this and making my own stuff. And about 6 months later, I lost like 60 pounds. So in like 5, 6 months, I lost 60 pounds while still working as a deputy. All my friends started noticing. They started seeing the recipes I was bringing to work, and I was making these double cheeseburgers. It looked amazing. And they thought, man, how are you losing weight? You're eating like this. And I was explaining them the science of just being in a deficit, eating high protein. And a few of them were like, man, send me the recipe. And so I was just, man, emailing recipes to buddies, whatever. And one day I decided, you know what? Like, I've got all this footage of how I used to look. I think my wife showed me, like, look how much you've changed. And she showed me like a video of myself, like, a year ago or something. I go, oh my gosh, it's like night and day different. So I thought, man, I'm just going to throw up a transformation video on TikTok and just see kind of how it does and see if it helps somebody else and I can answer some questions. And I think the first one I put up probably got like 100,000 views. I probably added like 10,000 followers like overnight. And I realized, and so many people in the comments were like, how did you do this? Help me. And I started answering questions, and it was, taking me hours just to respond to people to try to give them some advice on what I did to help them in their situation. Just a dad, in their 30s, or a mom, or whoever that needed help. And before I knew it, man, I started posting, the videos of my actual food. If you go back to that original content, my camera wasn't very good. I honestly think my screen, like my camera was cracked. And so the lighting kind of is fragmented on some of these videos I made, but that's all I had. But I remember, one day someone just asked in the comments, like, dude, you should put together an ebook, like make a cookbook so we can just have it all there for us. And they go, honestly, we'd buy it if you could make it. And I thought, man, that's okay. It'll help them, and if they buy it, cool. That helps me, and it'll make the world go around. And so I think I put it out with like 10 recipes. I just didn't know how to. I know how to post it. Like, okay, I can put these recipes together. I got it all there. I got decent content at the time, but I even know how to go about selling it. And so I went on YouTube, like, how to sell e-files, online, and I found a YouTube channel where this guy explained Koji and how he's selling an ebook on there. I think just how to do social media or something. And as he's doing this video, he's talking about, oh, I just made another sale. While we're doing this video about how to sell ebooks, I'm making sales. Oh, all right, cool. So it was really simple to sign up. And like literally the next day, I just had my ebook posted. I made one post, hey, I'm selling an ebook if you want it. And I think, that first, it was like the end of that month, and maybe it was August or July of last year. I sold like $100 worth of cookbooks.
Mm-hmm.
So I sold 10. I thought, how crazy is it, man, that somebody on the other side of the world or wherever is downloading this ebook, 10 recipes for $10, and they're loving it. And that's kind of the beginning of the journey that I still at the time didn't know would lead me to where I'm at now.
Yeah, and
But
this is recent. This is in the last 12 months.
yeah,
like
Yeah.
I was looking at your stats in August of last year, you made $331.
Okay.
And you made 1,100, 1,100, 5,000, 7,000. Then you just started rising
Right.
like crazy.
Yeah.
Uh, and so you discover Koji by watching a YouTube video. You were looking for how to sell an ebook, and
Yeah.
you showed up. You set up a profile, and you started selling one cookbook. Yeah, because now you've got on your profile, you've got sort of a number of offers. You experiment a lot, and so you
Yes.
started with one, and then how did the multiple ones happen?
Yeah. So I started with the one, and people would ask after I made a new recipe, hey, how do I get the new recipe? Because my book is kind of like an older book. Um, so when I got to like 25 recipes, I changed the title to like premium ebook, and the goal was basically, hey, if you buy in at $20, you can get the updates for free. And so what I was doing is collecting emails, and for a few months, I was the first of the month emailing everybody the brand new ebook. And then when I got to like maybe 65, 70, I decided, I'll have a standard book that's less in price but has less recipes, that's not updated. They can just buy it one time. That's the book they ended up with. And it's for that person that doesn't really care necessarily about the updates. They just want to kind of get started. And I still left that premium available for everybody else to keep getting those updates. And the cool thing is, as I talked to John, through IT, we kind of worked out a system through Koji that's amazing. That works for me. Instead of me having to email everybody that premium book at the first of the month, if they signed up with Koji, and I replace it and put the new updated version in the premium section, they can go on, put their phone number, and they can re-download the newest copy. So it went from like honestly, I was spending like 3 hours a week just updating my emails and then having to like send these cookbooks out to now it's like all automated. So I just let everybody know at the first of the month on a story on Instagram, hey, the premium ebook is out, come get it, and they can just download it themselves. So it's pretty amazing.
That's legit, man.
Yeah.
Uh, so speaking of, so this cookbook, you're not technical, you're not a designer.
No.
You put this cookbook together with Canva. Is that what I remember you telling me once?
Yeah, for sure. It's just another thing. Like that's the cool thing about this experience for me and someone else listening that says, hey, I'm not technical, I don't have computer skills, I don't know how to do graphic design or whatever. There's so many tools and apps and resources available to someone that knows nothing. And so I literally Googled how to make an ebook. Like I didn't know how, like where to get started. And so I found Canva, and I think it was like maybe $7.99 for like a subscription to Canva. And I had all this editing and illustrations at my fingertips that I could put it together myself. And so for the first, I don't know, 4 or 5 months of the life of the cookbook, I did all of the design work and got it posted myself. So I think the first ebook with 10, it maybe took me like an hour to put it all together. I used MyFitnessPal, and that had all of my ingredients saved. So I literally just went in, copy and pasted from there directly in the ebook, posted the pictures, and then added, by typing the directions. So pretty simple process to get started. And now, some days later, some months later, I work with Fiverr, and I found a graphic design guy on there. And at the end of the month, I send 10 new recipes to him. I just have them written out with the pictures, and then he actually has redesigned the ebook to make it a little cleaner. And he does all the updating for me now. So he does that and then sends it back, and I post it. So I've kind of got to the point where I'm not having to sit at home and do all of this work that isn't really adding. It's not my most valuable thing that I can give to Tasty Shreds as a company now. The most valuable thing I can give it is producing content. And so I
Totally
like to free up my time to do that and then hire and help other people do what they're good at, which is graphic design. So,
amazing. Makes sense.
yeah.
And then I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of like how you make these videos, like
Yeah.
equipment, the workflow, or like how long does it take to create one of these? Like any of that stuff, I think would help people grok what you're
Yeah,
doing.
for sure. So my TikTok has I think we just got to 440,000 followers today. We're at over 240,000 followers on Instagram. So if you saw those numbers and you're watching this, you're probably, would imagine I have, like a very professional setup, and I've got great cameras and all of that. Maybe people helping me on the side. But I literally make all of my content with an iPhone 13 Pro. So everything I make, even down to editing, I use a program called InShot, and it was like, I think it was free.
Let me
So
write that.
yeah,
In,
it's
in
called InShot, INSHOT, all one word. I think you can get like a premium version to get extra stuff on there. But I literally do all of my filming, editing, everything from my phone. And even right now, I have an external mic that's on the iPhone 13 Pro by Rode, RHODE, and it's a great mic. It was like $100, and it works fantastic. And so that is everything I have. I have a stand with a ring light, and that's how I make these videos that go viral every time I post them now.
I'm sitting here in this like crazy studio I'm putting together, and you've got an iPhone, and you're killing it.
Right.
Amazing. Okay, so you get good at producing this content that clearly is valuable. It's helping people get in shape. It's inspiring people. I get it why it's going viral and your audience is growing. You're great at producing it. You found Koji. You set up a profile. You started creating a cookbook. Then
Yeah.
you parlayed it into multiple cookbooks.
Yeah.
But not everything works, right? Like meaning
Right.
if we look at your and sorry, I'm kind of referring just for people watching here. Yeah, thank you. We have a dashboard that
Yeah.
Kyle is using that has a bunch of sections where you can really understand kind of how your efforts are landing. Are
Right.
they valuable? Are they not? And by being able to experiment rapidly, you can sort of find the things that work. So
Yeah.
you do a great job at using it. And this is just like even a partial list of the stuff that you've tried. Most things, again, sort of quantitatively fail.
Right.
You succeed. How do you sort of go about, some people may have stopped and said, well, I've done a number of things, they failed. I'm going to stop experimenting. Like, why do you sort of keep doing it? And how do you think about doing it?
Yeah. Yeah. As far as what has worked for me, you know, my main focus has been the ebook. Um, that's the first thing that I put out, and that's the first thing that people start purchasing. And all of my content revolves around food, and making food and making it low calorie, high protein, all that stuff. So I just made sure that every video I put out there has at the end of the video, um, you know, ebook link in bio, 88 plus recipes, wherever it's at the time. I do think whatever you choose to water the most, that's going to be the greenest lawn you have, and so that's what I promote in every single video that I make. Now, if I promoted and focus more on the other links that I've put up, it's quite possible that those might get more action. But I think because of my videos are so niche towards that recipe ebook, it just makes sense that anyone that clicks my link is automatically going to go there first. It's at the very top of the page. It goes my name, a YouTube link, and then bam, right there is the premium ebook. So I think if you are experimenting and try to figure out what works for you, there's no problem putting out as many apps as you want from the Koji store and see which ones get the most play, and try it for a month and see which one's doing the best analytically, and then just hey, go all in on that one, or go all in on two or three of them. And that's kind of what has worked for me.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Another thing you do that I think is super smart that more people should do is write in your bio. For example, on Instagram, you've got
Yeah.
these little emojis as sort of bullet points, and the
Yeah.
last one, says that the cookbook is the recipes are in the link in bio, and sort of you
Yeah.
got the finger pointing down. Like
Right.
if you don't remind people in all of your posts like you do, or in the profile to tap on that link in bio, again, we
Yeah.
now have data to show all of that. They don't, and
True.
and they just keep scrolling,
For sure.
and when you do, and there's something valuable there, then they can engage and do all that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's that makes sense. So today you are on TikTok and Instagram, and you're
Yeah.
twice as big on TikTok than Instagram.
Yeah.
But you started on which platform? Which one was first?
TikTok was first.
TikTok was first. And so is your strategy for TikTok any different than Instagram, or are you just repurposing stuff?
Yeah, it's no different. I just found that, what it seems to be is um, people that have a TikTok page and they're following, different creators out there, they tend to just follow a ton of creators. So if you look at someone's page, they might have they follow like 2,000 people.
Hmm.
Whereas Instagram, I feel like people are kind of more picky about who they choose to follow. And within that, they're following like their friends and their family as well. And
Hmm.
so they don't just follow just everybody. So when they see your content, it's amongst maybe 100 people that they follow, and so you're important to them. Whereas TikTok, it just seems like people just kind of just buckshot who they follow, and then they keep scrolling, almost like it's a less personable social media for some reason. Um, Instagram just seems like people really want to like go to your page and stay and look around a little bit, hang out a while, get comfortable. So that's the odd thing about the analytics is that TikTok, although I get maybe twice the views, I have twice the following, doesn't nearly getting the same amount of clicks and sales as Instagram does.
Hmm. Yeah, that's so counterintuitive for
Right.
for many people without seeing the data, but that's something that we see consistently.
Yeah.
That Instagram, when done right, gives you a lot more engagement, specifically in the link in bio and sort of the
Yeah.
ability to convert people to.
And I would probably add too, that Instagram with the function of stories, I think
Mm,
stories are huge. They're so important. And if people like your content and they see you pop up at the top and you're highlighted for them and they click on that, if you put something in your stories that is engaging, for me, I might do like a transformational video of myself that's like 6 seconds long. And then I'll even put in there, you can add the link and I'll put something like, my turn, ready to start my journey with a little hand, clicking that link. Um, there's days if I don't have my story full, I'll notice sales drop. And so I make sure that the stories always have something engaging there for people to go in and click. Because for me, honestly, at the end of the day, it isn't just about sales; it is about helping people. And so when I see a sale go through, not only am I joyful that I'm being blessed, but I know that means that someone else is about to be blessed too if they really follow the program. So I try to get it out there as much as possible. So IG stories, in an average day, I'll have 20,000 views per story, and that's huge. That's way more engaged than I would say 120,000 views on a video.
hmm. Yeah, look, I think this thing you're bringing up is really interesting. A lot of people, again, sometimes they fantasize about being a successful creator, and they fantasize about the lifestyle or what they can do with the money. But typically, I don't see them sort of imagining, because I think it's hard to imagine the feeling of I'll call it the super like, right? Like
Mm,
I can hit any interface on an app and give you a like, a love, a
yeah,
comment, etc. But there's nothing that sort of connects like the SMS notification that said that somebody just said, no, 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 I really, really like that. And that's why
yeah,
I gave you some love via, like, you have this thing called a love jar, kind of like a tip
yeah,
jar where people can give you some love, or
right,
by purchasing a cookbook.
yeah,
It, even if you take away sort of the money component,
mm,
that ability to express appreciation and gratitude and respect and love, whatever, all of that digitally like that.
yeah,
I just always find that to be, perhaps for many people, is going to be kind of the most valuable thing for them. Like so many people feel unappreciated, in our sort of
right,
world where we're all separated. And it's amazing how these little tools um, elicit emotion in
yeah,
people digitally, remotely. And
yeah,
and you've got customers that are not just in the United States, they're international, these
hmm,
folks that purchased your products. It's yeah, it's amazing that you're feeling that. That's cool. I'm glad to
right,
hear that you get excited about that. I heard you
yeah,
speaking once somewhere else about that, how when you discovered Koji via that video, and you said the guy was saying, "There's another sale, and there's another sale, there's another sale," and now that's happening to you.
yeah,
And, like,
yeah.
you're getting interrupted on that. So, like, do you sometimes like pause notifications? Because you must get just a ton of notifications.
Yeah, no, I just honestly I have no other notifications on my phone besides that one. That's the only one that I keep up, and it just tells me it gives me such a pulse on how my socials are doing, just by those notifications popping up. If they're kind of down a little bit, I go, oh, I probably didn't post enough on my story today. Let's add some stories. Or hey, you know what? I've got some new content. I'm gonna wait till tonight to post it, and I know that it's gonna start, tripping the algorithm up and get that going again too. So it just gives me like a really good pulse on my business and my social media just by seeing those Koji sales come through.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So do you, kind of spinning back to production a little bit, do
Yeah.
you tend to like have an idea and then sort of like rush to record it, or do you, plan these things? Do you batch them and do a bunch of them together?
Yeah.
How does that typically work?
For sure. Yeah. So, during, let's see, the beginning of the summer, what I was trying to do is have like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays being like film days. And I would film like 2 or 3 recipes each one of those days and then edit like Thursday, Friday. And then all of that content would be posted, on the following week. Um, but I just found that, you want to enjoy your summer. So, and instead of being so, by the book and by a schedule, I pretty much just kind of free flow my week and make things fit in when I can, in the middle of having fun with my family and going on adventures. So I know that, I need to make about 3 or 4 new cookbook videos a week. And so I find time to do it. The way I get the ideas is, um, as I'm out at restaurants or wherever, if something that I eat or see, uh, trips my memory, I might write that in my phone and go, hey, I want to explore a recipe that's like that, something that's similar, that can
Mm.
be high protein and low calorie version of whatever I just experienced and tasted. Um, so I have like my phone's full of notes of just recipes. And then pretty much I'll look at that. And it's still kind of Mondays when I like to assess what I'm going to do for the week. And I'll pick usually 3 or 4. And I'll go, okay, these 3 or 4 I'm going to make this week at some point, whether it's for dinner or whatever. I'll meal prep 3 or 4 if I can. Just have my wife try it as well. And then once I know what I'm going to choose, I'll go to the grocery store and I'll buy everything I need for those 4 recipes. So I'll have it all ready to go. It's in the refrigerator. And then, like I said, like as time permits it and allows it, and the kids are kind of busy doing something, and the lighting looks really good coming to the kitchen, I go, hey, you know what, guys? I'm going to go ahead and make a recipe video. And let's say it's 2 in the afternoon. Takes me about maybe 30 minutes to make it and film it, and another about 40 minutes to edit that video. And then a lot of times, if I make that video and I get done editing everything before 6 o'clock at night, I'll post it that same night. So a lot of times, a lot of videos that you see now, I make that same day and post that evening. So that's the
Amazing.
process. Yeah.
So you and I chatted recently briefly, and first of all, for folks watching, Kyle has been gracious enough to allow us to talk about his earnings and private information here. So thank you so
Yeah.
much, Kyle.
Yeah.
Hopefully it inspires a bunch of you to follow this path. So last year you were a sheriff's deputy. You made how much?
Like 40, like 42, 43, maybe with overtime if I was lucky, 45
Okay,
for the
so
whole year.
40. Let's take the high number. You made $45,000.
Yeah.
In June, you made 43,000 in the month of June. By the way, this is your
Right.
run. It started in August with
Yeah.
$331, then 1,100, 5,000, 7,000, etc.
Right.
And so in June you made 43, but then
Yeah.
July you only made 35.
Yeah.
And I sort of asked you what happened, and you said I was on vacation.
Yeah. I vacationed for like 3 weeks.
In this month,
Yeah.
you're going to have another record month. And so you went on vacation for 3 weeks and you made $35,000. And so did you record recipes on vacation?
No, no, I not really. I was planning to, but I was too busy enjoying the vacation, and so I just decided just to let things be as they may. And I think we were, already at a certain number where I felt comfortable just really enjoying ourselves. I did repost some reels that I had posted maybe a month or two previously and repurposed them a little bit. But for the most part, man, I just enjoyed that vacation time. So I took 3 weeks off. Didn't really post anything new, and we still finished at that for the month. So
That's
pretty wild.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
I am terrible at disconnecting and taking time off. The only thing that works for me is Burning Man. And this year I can't go because I've got newborn twins, so I'm skipping it. So mad respect for being able to go for 3 weeks and not do it.
Yeah.
I envisioned in my mind that you were actually like doing things on vacation and making these videos on vacation, but you weren't. You were just reposting stuff you already had.
Yeah.
That awesome. Okay. Um, okay. Uh, there's like so much there to unpack, but I think most people watching, can sort of go deep into your catalog now on TikTok and Instagram and see sort of that evolution. And sort of speaking of which, so you didn't study to be, a video editor or a content producer. You didn't go to any boot camp. It sounds like nobody taught you to do it. You've got this app, InShot. I guess this is a promo for InShot. I should have gotten them
Yeah.
to sponsor this this
Yeah.
video. I'm going to try it out. So you've got
Yeah.
this app,
Yeah.
but the content is, meaning, thoughtfully produced.
Right.
It has camera movement. It has editing. It has quick cuts. It
Yeah.
has titles. It looks like it's professionally produced. Doesn't look like just some ex sheriff's deputy decided to thing on his phone, right? Like,
Yeah.
can you tell us like about that? How long does it take to produce a video, like from start to finish, from time you take out your phone to you post it? Like, if you wanted to do it quickly, what's the fast?
Honest. I could do it in like an hour and 20 minutes
That's amazing.
from start to finish, cooking, filming, editing, narrating with my voice afterwards, and then posting. Hour and 20 minutes is like the quickest I could probably do it.
I see. So you shoot it and then you do a voiceover.
Yeah. So I
All,
do
all,
voiceover second. Yeah.
all in that app.
Yeah. And I typically, what I start off with, I have a lot of just, wide ranging, raw footage. iPhone 13 allows you to do cinematic mode if you do have an iPhone 13 Pro, where it's kind of, it blurs the background, right? And then you focus in on what you're looking at. And that just gives it that very professional kind of camera look. And I typically like to focus in on that after product of the food to show that first to somebody, because most of the time, if someone's scrolling through a video, you have about 2 seconds, maybe even less than that, to capture that person's attention and want them to stay. And so it better be something that captures their, whatever they want, whatever they're desiring. And so I make sure to make that look really, really good. And then even within those first 5 seconds, saying something that might make that person want to stay for 10 seconds. And it has shown that on TikTok, if you can get someone to stay for 50% of the length of your video, that video is going viral. It's going off the hook. And that's same for Instagram. I might add though, if you are, a new creator, a lot of people say go TikTok. I would encourage you start Instagram. Right now, they're trying their best to compete with TikTok. And so they're going, if you notice, everything's reels now, as opposed to like before it was, celebrities that would post one picture of themselves on the beach and it would get like 1 million likes. Now everybody's going to Instagram for reels, and they double up that video and put it on Facebook reels as well. So you get to double dip every time you post a video. And it seems to me that their algorithm is very wide scoping and they're wanting those videos to go out. So if you put out some good content and you're really consistent with it, my Instagram right now is growing faster than my TikTok. So definitely use Instagram. But if you are going to post something, make sure it has a nice hook right in the beginning. So specifically, a lot of my viral videos that were cooking, I would start off with saying, I would have a really awesome, Japanese knife, and I'd cut through a burrito, and I would say, down 78 big boy pounds. So I'd start off with that. If you've ever watched my video, that's like a routine thing that I've said. And most people go, okay, someone just lost about 80 pounds and he's eating this massive burrito. That's very intriguing. I think he's probably lying. I'm going to stick around and see what they say in the comments at least. Call this guy out. And then they see my macros and they see the ingredients and and I'm not lying, and they see the results and the food looks good and they go, man, I've been wanting to lose 78 big boy pounds myself or whatever that is. And so just making sure, those first 5, 10 seconds, I think, are everything with the video to keep people engaged.
Hmm. That makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
listen, whenever I get your content recommended to me all the time, mostly on Facebook than
Yeah.
Instagram, meaning I get it recommended on Instagram also, but I use Facebook more. So I do see it. It's really interesting. And it always obviously makes me hungry.
Yeah.
And then you were asking me of like my thing. I've got a pull-up bar here and a dip bar and some other prison workout things. So
Oh,
that's what keeps me fit and keeps me sane. And I tend to eat basically the same kind of diet
yeah.
that you do, which is, high protein, generally restricted calorie. I'm mostly
Yeah.
intermittent fast,
Oh, nice.
uh, and uh, uh, and yeah, I feel more fit, now that I'm 53 than I did in high school. I was super fit in early college, but then sort of afterwards, I went downhill.
Yeah.
30s and 40s didn't really look good on me, and so now in my 50s, I'm feeling better.
It's crazy, man. Like
Yeah,
to look like that at 53. I mean, I'm not trying to butter you up, but you see a lot of people at 53 don't look don't look like you. Like they go to their high school reunion and they look 63.
yeah,
So
yeah.
man, hats off to taking care of yourself. It's awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Uh, it goes up and down. At this moment, I'm looking all right. So a few more things.
For
We're
sure.
running up on time here, but um, so you started producing this content when you were still a sheriff's deputy,
Yeah.
and then how did you sort of make that jump of saying, I'm going to leave this job that obviously had, benefits
Hmm.
and other types of sort of security, and I'm just going to jump into this? Like, when did
Yeah.
that switch happen, and how and why?
Yeah, for sure. So I remember, I just got done with the police academy, and so you work there for about 8 months, and I was supposed to go to police academy earlier, but because of COVID, they had to postpone it. So when I finally, got to go, I don't know, just somewhere in that academy, I just felt like maybe this thing isn't for me long term. But I was already starting to post, some content. I think it was about 6 months after the academy that I post my transformational videos and stuff, started to take off, and I put the ebook out there. And I just know, like, I was sitting at work one night, and it was an overnight shift. So you get there at 6 p.m. and you work till 6 in the morning. Rough. And I worked in a county jail. You have to start off in county jail before you can go to the road. So I was, being paid to be in jail. And I'm just hanging out one night, and I'm getting all these dings from Koji. And I just did the math on it, and I realized I'm making more from Koji than I'm making on this shift. And it just kind of opened up my mindset to go, okay, I'm only putting like an hour a week into this. Maybe at the time I was only making like maybe one new recipe video a week because I was so busy with work and everything else. I'm putting this much effort, I'm getting this amount of money. Like, what if I expanded my effort? Would that increase the money to the point where I could leave this job? And I think I remember hearing an older deputy, we were talking, and he was probably 58 years old. He's had a hard life, he's had a rough career. He's a bigger guy, um, not super healthy. And he goes, man, Smith, my last name's Smith. He goes, you got a lot of years ahead of you before you can retire, man. 25 more years, you got your pension. He goes, I've only got 7 more years of this left, and man, I get that pension. I remember asking him, like, man, how much is that pension? Like, when you retire, like, what do you get? And he goes, oh man, I get like 3,100 a month for the rest of my life. And not saying that's small beans for anybody. Like, that is great, to get a pension, and that your life, that you have some kind of security more than just social security. But I thought, I can't do that. Like, that's not for me. Like, I can't, like, be stuck here for 25 years, not being able to be creative, not feeling like this is who I am, to get some kind of pension at the end of my life, and then live my life, my last 20 years or 15 years, but being already beat up, unhealthy, unhappy, jaded. Like, what if there's a way that I could live my life right now, and I could free up my schedule, free up my time, make more financially, provide more for my family, be creative, be stress free? Like, all these things, rush the foreground of my mind. And I remember telling my wife this, and we're a spiritual family. We pray, and my wife said something to me like, She goes, hey, I'm going to pray. She goes, I'm going to pray that God blesses you with such a job that you make way more money than you make and you can stay at home with the kids. And I said, pray that every day. Pray that all the time. I want this to happen. In that time, I think we had a meeting and we talked, and
You and I.
you and I had a talk,
Okay, yeah, that's when we met,
and
I think. Yeah.
yeah, and Reyes was on the call, and you guys were just so cool and so positive. I was brand new to this stuff, and you asked me, Kyle, what are your goals? What do you want to do? I'm like, honestly, Dmitry, if I could just make what I'm making now at the sheriff's office, I would be so happy. And you're like, how much was that? And I told you, I was like, man, after taxes, it's like maybe 3, like if I'm lucky, and you go, Kyle, dude, we can do 3 times, 5 times that. And I remember going to my wife and telling her, and she believed you, and I believed you, and something in me, just that that prayer, that moment of you saying that to me, it just all kind of felt like it was just destiny, like something was bound to happen, something special, and it just kind of pushed me over the edge. Like it was just like I had this increased hope of like, you know what, like why not try it? I could always get. I'm not making that much money anyways. I could always get another job if this doesn't work out, but I'm gonna just jump in 2 feet first, and I did, and gosh, here we are.
Leap of faith.
Leap of faith, exactly. Yes,
Yeah,
a leap of faith, and
that's
here
amazing.
and I'm so glad that I did. I couldn't make this story up, that this would happen for my life.
No, it's
It's
crazy.
insane.
You said something. You used the word stress-free,
Yeah.
which there are lots of creators out now talking about, creator burnout and that they're super stressed about content production.
Mm.
You seem to be still very optimistic, and I agree. I mean, you feel pretty stress free whenever I talk to you. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
what gives?
I think comparatively, if I take what I'm doing now and I compare that to what it was like before being a sheriff deputy, it's like, I had guys that wanted to fight me, that wanted to hurt me. I, had there's hostility all the time. There's people yelling, cussing, spitting at you. I mean, it was a very insane environment, So if I compare anything to that, I mean, there's no such thing as stress. And really, the perspective of what I do, I make videos where I cook food that I love, right? And that my family loves, and that people love to watch, and people love to get my ebook, and they thank me for it afterwards. Like, this is just honestly best case scenario for me. Like, I've been doing this over a year. I have never experienced social media burnout. I think the other thing too is I don't allow myself to get into the weeds with the trolls. I think sometimes if you're on social media and people can comment things and say, hey, you suck, and that person doesn't even have a profile picture. It's just they're just on there to make someone else's day terrible. That guy, like, don't worry about that person. If you are enjoying the content that you're making, like, who cares, what people say? And so I typically read the first 10 minutes of the comments, answer a few questions, and then I'm on with my life. If I see a negative thing, if it's not true, I don't need to even spend a second on it. Like, I know who I am, and if you know who you are, then it shouldn't matter what other people say. So I don't allow it to affect me.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, it's amazing. The universe is conspiring to make you successful. I'm but one little messenger, it seems, in this journey. And so maybe I'll do it to you again. We're like a year past the first time you and I met, and I asked you, like, what are your goals? And
Yeah.
and you said your goal was to be able to make enough money to at least augment your job, now quit your job. Now, whatever, you pulled down 220 some odd K already this year. It looks like you can do like $500,000, if not more, by your trend.
Right.
So money wise, you probably feel all set and flush unless you decide to like buy a yacht. Uh, what's the next goal? Is it just to get bigger and sort of help more people? Is it are you going to parlay it into other types of content? You can join other networks. Any ideas? By the way, it might be you don't have any yet, or you don't want to share, but just curious if you've got any goal in the back of your mind.
Yeah. I want to keep doing what I'm doing. I want to get better at what I'm doing. As far as switching up my content, I went on a podcast not too long ago with some sports nutrition guys. I really enjoyed just having like free flow conversation about nutrition, fitness, just life, culture, just having free conversations. And so one goal I do have over the next year is I do want to produce a podcast where I can bring on some of these popular social media personalities that do similar stuff that I do and kind of rack their brain about how they do their processes and just who they are as people. So definitely a podcast that sort of stays within my niche would be really, really cool, and just post 2 weekly. I don't have like a deadline for when I'm going to do that, but that's something I would love to do and get it on YouTube and get some AdSense from that. I also want to get into like physical product at some point as well. I tend to do a lot of content for companies like Real Good Foods. I do content for them. Another one called Wild Chips. They're getting pretty popular. They're protein chips. And they pay me well to do some content for them. But, I always think about, as a creator, we're kind of reliant on whatever's coming downstream to us a lot of times. With the ebook, I'm upstream, right? And I'm producing this and people are purchasing it directly from me. But if I could get behind a physical product that I'm selling that kind of coincides with what I'm doing with my recipes, whether it's a protein bar or protein powder, something that kind of connects, that would get me more upstream to where I could sell directly to the consumer as opposed to sell for a company. I could be the company. And so that's something I'm working on and thinking a lot about too.
Are you gonna just stay with the iPhone, or are you gonna invest in a computer?
That's great. I should, at the very least, I'm gonna get a better laptop. Any suggestions on a good laptop?
Yes.
Apple,
Yes.
just go Apple or what?
Yeah, get the new MacBook M2.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk on the side. I'll help you spec it out.
Okay, so I'm at least gonna get that. I'm gonna get a laptop. As far
It'll
as
probably slow you down though. Like I'm actually afraid to make any recommendations for you because I think you just got this thing down, and so
yeah.
I don't want to be the guy that inspires you and then like brings it down to into the ground. That would be bad. That would make me feel bad.
I mean, honestly, how I feel about it with how good the technology is on the iPhone 13 Pro, and it looks just as good as someone producing something else on TikTok with a real camera. Like, for me, this is easy, right? It's stress free for me. I know how to do it. I know how to edit it really quick. I don't have to upload it to a computer or any of that stuff. It skips all the processes, and so I think I'm just gonna stick with what I have, but at least get maybe better lighting. Those are other things I can always get better at. And so my wife and I are also kind of thinking about, we're looking at different houses and different situations, and I would like to get a kitchen that's a little bit brighter and have a little bit more natural light coming in would be awesome. So that maybe that's something in the near future too. Got to upgrade the studio a little bit.
Totally. Well, and talk to your tax guy. You've got like awesome write-offs in that kitchen. All right, buddy. Well, look, thanks so much for doing this. This is I'm going to try to also do this show on an ongoing basis. So you're my first guest here, these fireside chats. Right. Thanks for being the first one here. Hopefully we'll get to do this more. I suspect after people, watch this and again, go deep into what you're doing and why you're being successful, it'll be clear to them that they can learn a lot from what you're doing and benefit from that. So hopefully that's going to be the case. And so let's make sure we circle back again. And I want you on this show again.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Thanks for giving me hope and saying 5X it. And I believed you. So here we are. What do you think? What do you think's next for me? So then
let's 10X. I want to set your goal. Let's 10X it. I'm not kidding. Let's 10X it.
10X.
I believe you can do it. We certainly have some tricks in our bag as well that are coming down the pipe. So that'll help you. But I think you can 10X it.
All right. I love it.
Okay. So a year from now, we got a year to do that.
Okay. 1 year to 10X. Okay.
Get this.
All right. All right.
Thanks so much. See you.
See you later.
Bye.